Could you take us back to the beginning? How did you discover your passion for the arts?
Oh, the very beginning. So I've told this story many times. When I was about 5 years old, like ever since I learned how to talk, basically, I have been singing and dancing shirtless around the house like crazy. I have video evidence. My siblings and I would make a band all the time, and it was crazy. My parents were like, "We need to do something with this energy that this kid has. Like, we don't know what to do." And they signed me up for a musical theater camp, like 3 week camp at a local community theater when I was 8 years old, and I did High School Musical Junior, and I was Zeke, and that's how it all started. And then I never stopped from there. I just kept going.
When you look at your career as a whole, who or what's had the biggest influence, either personally or professionally?
Who has had the biggest influence? I mean, I've when I was younger, it started out as like, Frankie Valli, Johnny Cash, like all of these older artists. Um, and then, as I got older, I started listening to like a bunch of pop music. There was like Ed Sheeran in there and stuff like that, and like Michael Bublé and all those guys. And big actors that I look up to were like Eddie Redmayne. Like I saw at Les Mis, that was like my first intro to Broadway. I didn't know really what Broadway was until Les Mis. And when I saw Eddie Redmayne and like Aaron Tveit, I was like, oh my gosh, that's what I want to do 100%. Like I want to be like them. So yeah, I've had multiple different variations of influencers.
You've had a lot of success already in your career. When you look back, is there a particular moment that stands out to you?
Um, I would say probably there were a few things that happened before the Jimmy Awards, but I feel like the Jimmy Awards sort of solidified like, okay, I think I'm gonna do this as more than just for fun, you know? Because, doing high school theater, you don't really know what you can do until you get out into the world. And that's usually like your senior showcase from college. And that's sort of what the Jimmys was, essentially. And I did the Jimmy Awards, and then things sort of just started happening. And I was like, okay, this I feel like maybe I want to like really do this, and things are working out, and I could do this as a career. So the Jimmy Awards was probably the first thing.
So many different facets to your talent. Is there one that comes more naturally to you? Is there one that's more challenging?
um so I had always been a singer. Singing was like the thing for me for most of my life. um and obviously there was acting that came along with that, and um, I would say dancing is definitely my weakest link. I wouldn't say I'm a triple threat. I'm more of a two and a half threat. I'm a mover, essentially. I did dance in Jagged Little Pill, but it was it wasn't anything like crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Um, it wasn't anything impressive from my end. I mean, the choreography was amazing, but my end, they stuck me in the back and were just like, okay, just like pretend you know what you're doing. And I was like, great, I'll do that. Um, but it was definitely more singing, and then the acting came along with that. And I actually sort of in the middle of all, like I was booking some things, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm only booking things that involve singing. So like, am I a good actor? Like I just had this like internal conflict, and over quarantine, I was lucky enough to book a TV show that was straight acting, and I was like, oh my gosh, okay, so I can act, thank God. I was like really questioning that, but yeah, I would say singing is probably number one for me. But
Yeah.
I do want to get into acting.
Speaking of Jagged Little Pill, you made your Broadway debut in the production. Did anything surprise you about the experience? What's been the biggest takeaway?
I think, first of all, it was an amazing experience. It was my first thing. I was 17 years old when I started. So I was completely new to the whole business. Like it was very new to me. I think the biggest thing that was a shock for me was the 8 shows a week situation. I didn't think it was going to be as intense as it actually is. Because I was like, okay, you got all day and then you got a show at night. Like, it's fine. Like, no worries. And then I didn't realize that, like, you have to be prepping yourself and your body and your mind to be able to do that. So during the day, that's what you're doing. And then you go to the show. Like, it is a rigorous schedule that you have to sacrifice a lot of, like, the fun of New York. You can't really do a lot of that stuff. You really have to stay focused and, you know, keep yourself safe, keep your instruments safe and all that stuff. So that was probably the biggest shock to me. I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm used to doing like a 4 show weekend in high school and then I'm done. So it was different. It was different, but it was good.
You've got a new cast recording out now. Can you tell us about In the Light and how you got involved with this project?
Yeah. So In the Light dates back to 2018. Michael Mott reached out to me on Instagram and was like, "Hey, I really, really like your voice." Actually, yeah. So in probably September of 2018, he reached out and was like, "Oh my gosh, I want to work with you. You're really great." And I was like, "Thank you so much. Oh my God, I love your work." And then in November of 2018, he reached out and was like, "Hey, I have this thing. I would love for you to send in a video to casting um, for one of the roles in our show." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, 100%. Dare to Dream? What? Are you kidding? That's amazing." I loved the song. Jeremy and Laura's version was amazing. And lucky enough, I booked the show. And then I honestly cannot tell you the actual timeline of what happened after that. Like, there was like, I think I've done 2 workshops with the show, and then like a smaller album, and then the final album. So I've been with the show doing a bunch of stuff for the past 3 years now. So, yeah.
Yeah, we recorded the album completely remote and virtually. What was that experience like?
Yeah, it was honestly like a lot smoother than you'd expect. With both of the albums that I did over COVID, like it's really kind of amazing how they did it. Like, I didn't think this was possible, but they had Michael on Skype or Zoom or whatever we had, and there was like a producer that Michael knew in LA and was like, "Hey, just go over to his place. You'll be COVID safe, and he's got a home studio, and we'll just lay down the vocals." And I was like, "Oh, great!" So like they had it all figured out. It was great, and turned out beautifully. From like all people from all over the world were part of this album, like Vienna.
Yeah.
It's incredible. It's really, really amazing how it all came together.
Yeah, what do you hope listeners take away after they finish the cast recording?
I just think, I mean, after listening to it, like, as I said, in Vienna, like they recorded an entire orchestra over there, which is just mind blowing and beautiful. Like, listen to the orchestrations in these songs. Like, it's incredible. Also, just like the amount of talent that is a part of the show. I mean, there's Jeremy, Saleha, Sierra, like so many, and like the entire ensemble is just powerhouse vocalists. I'm so humbled and honored to be a part of a cast like that. Like, I'd been looking up to Jeremy. He's another one that I've been looking up to since I was a wee little baby. So, it was a really cool experience to be able to work on this, for sure. And just the amount of talent that was a part of it is incredible.
In addition to In the Light, you have an upcoming show at 54 Below. What can fans expect from that? Is there anything you could tease about maybe potential guests that might show up or your set list?
Yeah, I'm actually so pumped about it. I just got my whole band. I'm so excited. So basically, the title is Nostalgia, and essentially, it's just sort of the playlist that I grew up on, like all songs from like early 2000s that like I went back to during COVID and was like, okay, this is my feel good playlist. This is what's going to get me through this time. And I, when they asked me to do a concert, I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to do songs that are going to make me feel good, that are all like good songs for the audience to know and sing along to and just have a good time. So yeah, you can expect a lot of just like feel good, amazing, fun, awesome throwback songs, and I'm so pumped about it. And I do have one special guest that I'm going to be announcing it soon, so I'll let you know. I'll let you know.
I like to end all of our interviews with a pop culture speed round. Do you have a guilty pleasure TV show?
Guilty pleasure. Well, right now my favorite TV show is New Girl for sure. Like, oh
Mm.
my God, it's my feel good. I watch it every night. Guilty pleasure. I don't, I don't know. They're all just. I don't feel guilty about any of them because they're all so good.
Yeah, I think that counts. Anything that's like
Yeah,
something that you can watch over and over again.
yeah.
What about a guilty pleasure movie?
Hmm. I I could watch. Oh, my favorite movie is Sandlot.
Hmm.
Ever since growing up, it was just my favorite movie. For some reason, any movie to do with baseball is like all the way up there. I don't know why. They're just so good. They're so well done and like so. Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's just because I play baseball, but like I'm obsessed. Sandlot for sure.
What about a favorite book?
Favorite book. So one thing you'll find out, I'm not a big reader, and I want to get into it. I really do. I was never into school. Like whenever we had to read books in school, I was like, I am gonna like go on Spark Notes and just like I don't know,
Yeah.
really bad. Um, I am currently reading Green Light by Matthew McConaughey. My mom recommended it to me, and it's really, really, really good. I'm listening to the audiobook actually because I like to listen to his voice tell me the words. But yeah, it's a really, really great book.
What about a favorite play or musical?
My favorite musical is Les Mis, hands down. It was the first one that I really found out about, and like well, there was like the first Broadway one that I found out about. Like I had done musicals, obviously, but that's the one that really got me into Broadway. It was my first Broadway show that I saw with Ramin, and I met him after, and I freaked out. Like it was awesome. Les Mis, hands down.
What about a band or artist that fans would be surprised to learn is on your playlist?
Hmm. Surprised. I have. I feel like I'm so predictable. Um, what is a band that? Oh my gosh, I don't know. I don't think anyone would be shocked at any artist that I listen to. It's like if you looked at my playlist and like my playlist for my concert, you'd be
Yeah.
like, "Oh, that tracks. That tracks for sure." Um, so I don't know. I don't. I mean, maybe Harry Styles, but like everyone knows that I love Harry Styles. So it doesn't. I don't think that's surprising to anybody. So
What
yeah.
about the first album you ever bought?
First album I ever bought. Well, I can tell you the first song that I like ever downloaded. I was never like into listening to other artists.
Hmm.
So like for some reason I just like didn't listen to music. For some reason I was like really weird. And my freshman year of high school, I downloaded "Thinking Out Loud" by Ed Sheeran, and that was the only song on my phone. And that was the only song I listened to for like 6 months. I don't know why. It was just like my favorite song of all time.
What about an album that changed your life and why?
So I have an album, um, probably the album that changed my life the most was Blurry Face by 21 Pilots. My sophomore year of high school, like my brother and I, that's what sort of bonded us. Like we knew every single word to every single song. And it was just something that was so different than any other kind of music that I had ever listened to. Have you ever listened to 21 Pilots? Like,
I haven't listened to that album.
oh, you have to. It's incredible. They're some of my favorite artists on the planet. Truly so amazing. So that one for sure.
And then final question for you. What is your dream role?
Dream role. I'm gonna have to go with Jean Valjean and Les Mis. I can't lie. It's been my dream role since I was a child. So I would love to play Jean Valjean.